Hey, Gaddies. We are here I'm so excited, with such special guests. We're here today with Grandpa Bobby and Grandpa Scott. Hey, fellas.
Hey, how you
Hey,
doing?
You are known as the internet's gay grandpas, and we're celebrating Grandparent Day today. But I actually want to know, could you take us back to the start and tell us, before you were grandpas, you were dads? How did that happen, and what was that like?
okay. Picture this. San Francisco, 1978. I moved there, and a year later,
I moved to San Francisco in 79.
and we met on a dance floor, and we've been together ever since.
46 years now plus.
Amazing.
Now, Scott had been previously married, and when we met, he had two young daughters who were age 5 and 6 when they came into my life. I had never anticipated being a parent. That just was something that I even, especially in the 70s, young gay men didn't think about that. We didn't
Yeah.
think about things like marriage. We just thought about, having fun, finding a boyfriend. And so I met this one, and it was just a package deal. And so I had to kind of make the choice, do I want to take this
Mhm.
on? Because it was kind of daunting, these little lives, facing you. And I decided that, let's give this a try.
So it's the kids, not me?
Yeah, I think it was the package. Fortunately, we were very fortunate. Scott's former wife was an amazing woman. She has since passed, and she co-raised the kids with us. In fact, our family used to call us the sister wives, and the kids never had a problem being integrated into a three-person family. In fact, the funny things would be, our daughter would tell us, Laura, his former wife, would tell us that inevitably she would wait for that phone call from the school because when the kids were like in kindergarten or first grade, they were always asked to draw a picture of their family. And the teacher would call and say, "Well, I see a mommy and I see two men with mustaches." And we'd have to explain that. Or on parent teacher night when we'd come into the school together, we'd have to explain that as well.
Amazing.
But
I'm curious, at what point did you first encounter other gay dads?
Boy, that was,
geez, I wouldn't say until like a few years ago.
yeah, a decade.
Yeah, as we travel.
Well, let me back up.
Mhm.
We did meet men who were fathers, but they were separated
Mm.
because their wives did not want them to have any relationship with the kids.
Yeah.
And
Mm,
back then, courts sided with the mother.
Yeah, so we weren't aware or cognizant of any actively gay dads in their lives. It's
mhm.
only been, I would say, in the last 5 years as we traveled around the world as gay grandparents that we run into the next generation of young men who are having kids, and it's really thrilling to see.
So I'm curious, when you meet this charming man on the dance floor, at what point did he tell you that he had children, and what was your first? What was?
Well, he told me relatively soon, I think within a couple of days of meeting. And, at that time, when I was 22 years old, we were dating. I didn't think of it in terms of 46 years. And frankly, at that time, it was the era in San Francisco. We were like the only couple that had been together. Even, I mean, I remember one telling people we had been together 9 weeks and they thought that was eternity. So you didn't really think of it. It was like we met in July. I met the kids for the first time, I think, in October.
Yeah, but I know when I told you. I told you in front of the donut shop on
Oh
Broadway.
yeah, I remember that. Our first date. So I thought it was interesting that he had this other life, but I didn't think of it in terms of my sort of commitment because I didn't even know our relationship was going to evolve.
I did.
I knew.
I did, and that's why I said it up front because, like you said, it was a package deal, and any man who had been interested in pursuing, being boyfriends and partners, whatever, that was a critical part of my life that I was not walking away from.
People
Mhm.
always ask, how did I know Scott was the one? And I always respond, because he told me. But we moved in together. Well, we met in July and we moved in together in December of that year. And so that's when I said, okay, I'm going to be the wicked stepmother, I guess. There were no role models. There was
Yeah.
nothing. There was nothing to read. There was no wonderful site like you
Yeah.
have to help. So I just had to kind of go by instinct. And my instinct told me, first of all, these were two young ladies that, boy, you didn't pull any bull on. These kids were sharp. So I never said, you can call me Uncle Bobby. No, I said, look, my name is Bobby. I'm your grandpa, I'm dad's partner. They appreciated, I think, the honesty. I
Mhm.
never tried to be the disciplinarian, and I think many step-parents make that mistake of trying to step into the parental role automatically, and it's been a gradual effort over time. And some years ago, the kids started addressing me as dad too. So Scott is dad one, I'm dad two. And that's how they see. In fact, they came to me and said, do you mind if we start calling you dad after all these years? And gosh, that was really meaningful to me.
Just I was in a straight relationship, had children, and just like there was no manual for that, okay? And gay marriages and children have been going on since
Time
time
immemorial.
immemorial. So here we are, a gay couple as a family, and there weren't any manuals. And we had to kind of write one, if you will,
Yeah.
or live one out as we moved along. And we didn't. One of the advantages, we didn't have any locked in roles. There wasn't. One of us didn't have to stay home, take care of the kids, and cook dinner. All right, and one go out and go into the coal mine or the steel mine and work. We did not have that, so it did give us some freedom to define how we wanted our family to be.
The other thing which
Mhm.
was very helpful is both our families on both sides were completely accepting of our relationship. In fact, Scott always said that his family would keep me if we divorced. And also, especially in the early years, we lived in California, more specifically in San Francisco, which was a
Yeah.
welcoming environment. In fact, we took our kids to the gay pride parades in 1980, 81. And our friends embraced them almost like they were living dolls because they were such a novelty and because they didn't have kids in their lives. Our kids had a lot of uncles.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time that you did meet other gay dads?
I have to say, Scott, it probably wouldn't be in as early as like 5 years ago. We really never during the 80s or 90s or the aughts.
Yeah, we had an attorney, and he and his at that time partner then became uh, husband. Did they had was it surrogacy?
Yes.
Yeah, they did surrogacy. They had a beautiful baby girl. So that was one of the
Yeah,
times that we
Lexi's
did have.
about 8 years old now, 7, 8 years. So it's really only been in the last 10
Yeah.
years that we have
Yeah.
become aware of and have met gay parents.
Yeah.
And inevitably, they're always going to be like 10, 15 years younger. They're the next
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah. So then, yeah, I think the question might be different for both of you, right? For Scott, maybe you thought the kids were having, and Bobby not. When your kids became of an age where you started thinking, wow, we might become grandparents, and then you did become grandparents, what was that transition like? And what was stepping into that new role?
For me, it was easy. It was something that I knew I had the opportunity to have grandkids, and so I was excited. We were there for every birth
Mhm.
in the delivery room, and one time when I had the opportunity to babysit or take care of one of our grandkids for a full year while the mother had to work. And so there was that special bonding there, that grandchild. I mean, there was things like that just filled my life.
Now, for me, I'm a little younger than Scott. I became a grandparent at age 40. People thought that was very strange, but it was it was absolutely wonderful because our first grandchild was born in 1994, and we had just moved from San Francisco. While we lived in San Francisco from 79 to 94, we lost about 50 of our closest friends to the AIDS crisis. So when we had this new burst of life in our lives, it was so reaffirming and it meant so much for us that we truly embraced it. The most magical thing to both of us is that our grandkids have never known or understood which one was biologically related and which one wasn't. We are equal to them. Although I know our daughters will always have a little special bonding with Scott because he is their biological father, and that's completely understandable. Our grandkids don't have that.
Mhm.
No, I disagree. I think our daughters would take you over me.
I've always was good cop versus the bad cop.
What do what do the grandkids call you?
Oh, just Grandpa Bobby and Grandpa Scott. That's why when we created our YouTube channel, we just use those names because that's what our kids have always called us.
Well, actually, one of our granddaughters suggested the name.
Yeah, and
She said, "You need a niche. You need a hook."
yeah, we're niche. In fact, the wonderful thing is, one of our daughters decided to name her son after me. So I have a little Robert out there. Oh, he's not little anymore. He's 6'3", but
I'd just like to point out that I even offered money to have a child named after me, and no one,
took up the offer.
no, they didn't.
So our message to the gay dads out there, it gets better.
Yeah.
I always said grandkids are the reward for not killing your own children.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how is being a grandparent different than being a parent?
Heaven, because they can eat chocolate. Well, first of all, grandkids are absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
For some reason, they're just so much better. I think it's because when you get to the point of your age where you're a grandparent, you're a little more settled in your life. You're a little more comfortable with who you are.
I'm confident.
Yeah, you're more confident. That feeling of comfort when they come in and they just run across the room and they first see you and they want to hug you. Oh my God, you can't buy that.
It's unconditional love.
Yeah.
They, especially in the younger years, like Bobby was saying, just they'll come and just snuggle up to you, put their head
Mhm.
on your shoulder. They
Yeah.
don't want anything.
Yeah.
They just want to
Yeah.
be with Grandpa.
And the fun thing was, especially when our kids were younger, when they were in that like between ages of 3 and like 7 or 8, we would have time where we would just get together with them to talk, and they would confide things to us which they didn't feel comfortable talking to their parents about.
Mhm.
And that was wonderful because they knew they could trust us with
Mhm.
anything and that we
Yeah.
weren't judgmental. Whereas a parent had to, lay down the rules, we could be a little more relaxed. If you want cake for breakfast, who's going to complain?
Yeah.
Part of that process, I would like to add, though, was when they came to us to talk about things that they were initially uncomfortable talking to the parent. Our goal was always to listen and help them get comfortable so they
Mhm.
would go to their
Yeah, help
parents.
facilitate.
We were grandparents. We're not parents.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so we never wanted to usurp that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of acted as a mediator or a sounding board, and I think they appreciated that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
much so to the point where, I mean, just last week we have a 22-year-old granddaughter who is just starting her third year in college, and she just called out of the blue for a half an hour just to chat, and just to say what's going on in her life. So if you form those relationships early on, you reap the benefit of them years later.
Yeah. I'm curious, what do you think, like, what lessons or learnings from fatherhood did carry into being a grandparent?
The number one is the love. Love them without wanting anything. Love them because of who they are. Don't judge them. Now, yeah, when the child acts out, it's the role of the parent to set some limits. If the kid comes in with purple hair, applaud.
Yeah,
All right,
don't
it'll
be
grow.
judgmental.
You can always change the color next week.
Yeah.
If they come in with music that just drives you nuts, and they have, just listen to it, nod, and
Yeah, don't be judgmental
yeah.
and listen to them. Hear them, listen to them, really listen because their lives are so much more complicated than when I was a kid between school shootings, drugs, fashion, the internet. There are so many obstacles that they're facing. So really listen, take the time, and that pays off because they come to you. When you show them and demonstrate that you're willing to listen, they're more likely to come to you and you can help identify a problem.
Yeah, we were at a party, and it was mixed. There were um, gay and non-gay people there, and I remember they had a football game playing in the background, and several of the men were watching it. one of the men had a child come up and say, "Daddy, I want to talk. Daddy, I want to talk." And the dad says, "No, after the game, after the game," and just kind of waved him off. And I got to tell you, that pissed me off. That pissed me off so much because the game is going to be there on replay.
Yeah.
You know, your kid tomorrow may get hit by a car and not be there. So don't shine on your kids.
I think also sometimes straight relationships, when they're having children, it's almost like, oh, they're expected. It's
Yeah.
just a part. In a gay relationship, you've got to go to a lot of effort to
Yeah.
have that child. So I don't want to be biased, but I do think there's a lot more invested in terms of time, money, resources, what have you, that you
Yeah.
just don't take it for granted
Yeah.
that, oh, I just had the kids and it's my wife's duty to take care of them or my husband. You don't
Yeah.
quite take them for granted. Now, that being said, having been the parent of two daughters, to any gay parents who have daughters between the ages of 11 and 14, God bless you. There are times when we swore we could send them away for those few years. Just be strong. You'll get through it. And when you
Yeah.
do on the backside, it's truly wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Every child. Oh, I'm sorry,
no,
David.
go.
Well, every child, because I did it, and then and Robert did it. There's a time, a period in your life where you want to move as a kid beyond the family, beyond your mom and dad, and you want to, what do they say, flap your wings and get out of the nest and experience life. And sometimes parents and even grandparents, they'll fear it as rejection or they feel it as rejection. And it's just a natural part of growing up.
Yeah.
And if you're cool with it and give them the space, they come back.
Yep. So maybe let's end today's conversation talking a little bit about visibility because the last couple of years, the world has gotten to know you as the two gay grandpas. And you've talked about you're on trips and people come up and recognize you. Like, what does it mean to be visible gay grandparents in the world today?
Well, I don't want to say daunting, but we recognize that it comes with a responsibility. What we have learned from our demographics is a preponderance of our subscribers and viewers are younger people. And by younger, I mean between 18 and 45, who write to us and express that either they don't have a relationship for whatever reason with their grandparents, or they don't live near their grandparents, or their grandparents have passed and they look to us as being surrogate grandparents. And we think that's wonderful, but gee, that's kind of awesome.
There are there are comments and what do they call them, DMs
Mm,
that are sent to us that would just break your heart.
mm,
And initially, even though it started out as a travel channel, we became keenly aware after some of those comments that there is this very rich desire out in the world from all over because we get people from all over. India, Japan, Australia, North Africa, I mean, all over Russia that have this desire for this grandparent relationship that they don't have. It's lacking. They voice it that they know something is missing. And watching our videos and hearing us kind of make comments and play around with each other, it makes them know that it's available and it
mhm.
fills a place for them.
Well, and also that they don't have to be afraid of growing older.
Yeah.
That just because you grow older, you don't have to grow up. You can still be kids. That you can have a long-term lasting relationship well into your senior years. And a lot of them have found that new or different or something they haven't experienced. Also have to remember a lot of gay men our age are missing. They don't have a lot of those people in their lives. So we're a little bit unique in that regard, and we take it seriously. We really try to reach out to them. We respond to every comment, especially those who have problems in their lives. And we just try to demonstrate what is the word they love to use? Wholesome
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, there's an incredible amount of fear out there voiced to us about growing old.
Hmm.
And if we can show them that, the years pass, there's seasons to life, but you can go, the metaphor, you can go skiing and snowboarding in your winter. You know, you don't have to, if your physical health allows and finances allow, you can do things to keep active that to have
Yeah.
that worldwide.
Yeah, so many comments we get are like, my grandfather is so crotchety and angry, and he just sits in the rocking chair. And you guys give me hope that it doesn't have to be that way.
Or idle
Yeah.
mind.
It's not to, sorry, interject a story from my life, but I volunteer with Sage, which is an organization focused on bettering the lives of elderly queer people. And, I participate in a phone program where I call this person every time, certain week. Before the program started, Sage was very clear. They're like, listen, not everyone's had idyllic lives, right? So you're going to be calling some people who are not going to be the most warm and welcome and all that, and I've been calling Roger for a couple of years now and we've gotten to a good relationship. But I think when you are younger and you think of the older days, you get to think about these happy and jovial. If you're someone like me who grew up with amazing grandparents in your life, but I think it's really important to recognize and name that, sometimes the later years are a reflection of the life that people lived, which was not always the best.
Yeah, Scott, unfortunately didn't really have grandparents in his life. I had amazing Italian grandparents in my life who just thought I was the bee's knees. And I told Scott the way I want it to be with my grandchildren is I want them to take me completely for granted. And he didn't quite understand what that meant. It meant that they're always there, no
Yeah,
matter what. That you don't think about your grandparent and what they go through or what because they're constant. Their love
yeah,
is always constant, their presence, they're always going to love you. You just take them for granted. And giving a child that cushion, that wonderful, just something they could fall back on, doesn't have to be all the time. Grandparents aren't being pushy. They're just always there. They'll always love you. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's important in being a grandparent.
I think that resonates a lot because there was definitely a stage where my dad, was clear in vocalizing, saying, you love your grandfather more than you love me. And my point was like, he's my grandfather. Like he's not my parent, like he's only there to cheer me on and do all the things that so it's not an issue of more, it's just different. And now that my dad is a grandparent, I think he's starting to experience that for himself, right? Which is pretty cool. So, well, Scotty Bobby, two gay grandpas traveling. Thank you for joining us. I am going to throw it out there that I hope this is not the last time we talk because I think there's so many amazing experiences and other topics to discuss. But thank you both. And let us know, where can people follow along or join you on your journeys?
Well, our YouTube channel is Two Gay Grandpas Travel on YouTube, and that is the same handle for Instagram and all our social media.
And we also have a podcast
Yeah.
Yes.
called Travel Your Heart that you can
Yep.
tune to wherever you get your podcasts. And
Cool.
that's our motto. Wherever you do in life, whether you're just traveling the world or just traveling through life, always travel your
Travel your
heart.
heart.
Thank you so much. Well, we will
Thank you.
definitely talk to you soon.
David, it's
Thanks.
been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.